Hi everybody, I'm Tracy, registered dietitian with FLIK Hospitality Group. Today in Teaching Kitchen at Home, we are going to be making a meat mushrooms blended recipe. We're going to be taking ground chicken and chopped mushrooms to make a delicious taco filling that we will then top with a yummy pineapple jalapeno slaw. Let's get cooking. Before we get started, don't forget to wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds. Here are all of the ingredients we will need for this recipe. Not a huge shopping list, and most of the spices you probably have in your pantry already. The main component of this taco recipe is our meat mushrooms chicken mushroom taco filling. The great thing about this recipe is you could use any ground meat filling. This recipe originally called for ground turkey, but my store didn't have that, so I'm going to be using ground chicken. And what we're doing with this recipe, rather than serving a whole portion of just the ground meat, we're going to be blending that meat with equal parts mushrooms. So for 1 pound of ground chicken, I'm going to use 1 pound of chopped mushrooms. We'll cook that down, mix it with some delicious seasonings and spices to add that taco flavor that we're all looking for. Mushrooms are not only going to help to lower the calories, the fat, and the sodium in this dish, but also add vitamin D, potassium, B vitamins, and antioxidants. So it really helps to boost the nutrition. You're getting a nice dose of that umami mushroom flavor, but you're cutting the calories in half, which is really great. And then, of course, we're going to have our pineapple jalapeno slaw with a little bit of sliced up cabbage in there. I have some cilantro and scallions for that traditional flavor accompaniments, and we'll be serving it on some corn tortillas. So let's get started. To clean mushrooms, simply wipe away any visible dirt on a wet cloth or paper towel. They do not need to be washed or peeled. Okay, so we have chopped all of the mushrooms fairly finely. I like mushrooms, so I don't mind if some pieces are a little larger, which means you might be able to pick up on the texture and consistency when you mix it with the turkey. So if you're trying to sneak these mushrooms in, you will want to take the time to chop them a little bit finer. Mushrooms chop really easily, so this is a great task for a kid that might be helping you in the kitchen. Maybe give them a plastic knife and just let them chop up the mushrooms. We've added the mushrooms to a saucepan on medium to high heat with a little bit of oil. So we're now just going to stir them and cook them until they get soft, which won't take too long since they're fairly tiny in size. Okay, so the mushrooms have cooked down and reduced in size quite quickly. Mushrooms do have a high water content, which you can see bubbling at the bottom there. So this is when we will add our ground meat. Again, I'm using ground chicken. When you add your ground meat into the cooked mushrooms, stir and break it up with a wooden spoon. It will cook down and practically melt into the mushrooms, all being the same consistency, shape, and size. The ground chicken has completely cooked through. We want an internal temperature of 165 degrees. So I'm going to pull this off the heat, and you can see again how there's still quite a bit of liquid sizzling on the bottom from the mushrooms. So I'm going to carefully drain off this excess liquid, and then we will add our seasonings. Okay, now we are ready to add all of the seasonings to turn this chicken mushroom mixture into taco filling. So we have, starting from the bottom left, working clockwise, we have chili powder, cumin, garlic, paprika, salt, chipotle chili pepper, dried oregano, ground pepper, and then a little bit of pineapple juice, which will help to keep this mixture nice and moist, add a little zest or tang, and it actually will pick up the flavor in the slaw that we'll be working on next. So all of these get tossed in to our meats mushrooms mixture. Okay, I have incorporated all of the seasonings into the meats mushroom mixture, and I wish I had smell-o-vision. I can't tell you how good this smells. The cumin and that chipotle pepper really bring that aroma. You will think you've used one of those taco seasoning packets, but you haven't. So you haven't added any added or unnecessary sodium or preservatives or artificial colors. Now you can use this seasoning blend anytime you want to make a taco filling with any meat, fish, veggie mixture. You can do it all your own. This recipe calls for freshly diced pineapple and pineapple juice. So you have quite a few options depending on what your store has. You could definitely purchase an entire pineapple. The pineapple is so easy to chop up once you remove the skins and the core. It makes a great snack, or you can even blend it up into an ice cream, freeze the cubes for a nice chilled summer treat. If you wash the pineapple really well, the rind and the core could be used for an infused water. Or if your store has some pre-chopped pineapple like I have on the right, or I was also able to find some canned pineapple that had no added sugar, so it's just pineapple in 100% pineapple juice, you can use these as well. I actually ended up using the juice out of the canned version, so that might be a little easier, but you do have quite a few options to get both ingredients for this recipe. For the jalapeno, I recommend cutting the single jalapeno into quarters and then carefully gliding your knife in between the flesh of the jalapeno, which we will mince up for this recipe, and the lighter green portion in the center, which contains all the seeds. And you can easily slide your knife, glide that right out, and toss the seeds. Now to finish dicing the jalapeno, cut each quarter, now removed of the seeds, into strips. Turn those strips to the side and begin your dice. For the cabbage, you're going to want to take the whole head of cabbage, cut it in half, cut each half into a quarter, cut each quarter into an eighth, and then using your knife, make fine shreds, slicing horizontally. You could use a shredder or a mandolin if you had one, but I'm going to practice my knife skills and do it by hand. We are ready to assemble our slaw. We have the shredded cabbage, diced pineapple, cilantro, jalapeno, pineapple juice, lime juice, and salt. We're going to mix these all together. Here is the prepared slaw all mixed together. You could definitely make this a day in advance and let it sit in the refrigerator, marinate overnight. The cabbage will wilt a little bit due to the acidity in the lime juice and pineapple juice. So if you're planning for a quick, easy dinner the following night, this could easily be done a day in advance. Right before we are ready to go, we just want to warm up our corn tortillas. I'm using a toaster oven, but you could easily use a regular oven or stovetop, just to soften them up a bit. Start with 2 softened warm corn tortillas. Top with some of the taco seasoned ground meat mushroom mixture. And finally, top with some of the pineapple jalapeno slaw. Thanks again for joining me in today's Teaching Kitchen at Home, where we had our meet some mushrooms in our meat mushroom blended tacos. Today we use ground chicken, but you could easily use ground turkey or beef with equal parts meat to mushrooms. Mushrooms bring in B vitamins, vitamin D, potassium, antioxidants, all sorts of great benefits that we've snuck into this recipe. You could use this same cooking method like we did today for tacos. You could also use it for burgers or lasagna or a meatloaf, sneaking in those added nutrients for a delicious dinner. Hope you enjoyed this meal, everyone. Bon appetit.